If you've ever wondered how entire communities survived wartime shortages without modern supermarkets, this story will blow your mind. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to The Prepper Historian, because honestly, you won't want to miss more hidden survival lessons from history. Today, we're uncovering a plant so powerful that during World War II it fed entire villages, kept families alive through famine, and even supported armies. And yet, despite its proven resilience and nutritional value, we almost completely abandoned it. Why? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore step by step, and I'll even show you how you can bring this knowledge into your own survival planning today. During World War II, with imports cut off and traditional crops failing under constant bombardment, rural communities across Europe turned to an unassuming plant that could grow in almost any soil, resist harsh weather, and produce food faster than anything else in their fields. It wasn't wheat, barley, or potatoes. It was a wild leafy green, a plant that today many historians barely mention. Yet it literally kept people alive. Families cultivated it along roadside edges, around bombed-out ruins, and in tiny allotments, supplementing meagre rations and preventing malnutrition. Villagers would harvest it multiple times a season, cooking it in stews, boiling it into soups, or drying it for winter use. Its leaves were rich in vitamins, its seeds packed protein, and the roots could be stored for months, making it essentially a complete self-sufficient survival crop. The fascinating part is how universally this plant could thrive. While wheat demanded fertile soil, irrigation, and careful tending, this plant thrived even in depleted fields. Bomb craters, trenches, and rubble-strewn landscapes became flourishing patches of greenery. Historical records from occupied France and rural Poland show that entire villages relied on it as their primary food source, with local governments even organizing plant drives to distribute seeds. What's striking is that these plants weren't considered mere famine foods. They were valued for taste and nutrition. Families would pass down recipes and cultivation tips, ensuring that each new generation understood exactly how to maximize yield and resilience. So why did we stop growing it after the war? The answer lies at the intersection of industrial agriculture, market economics, and cultural shifts. After 1945, governments pushed heavily into mechanized farming, prioritizing high-yield monocrops like wheat, corn, and rice. The very plant that had saved millions during wartime was seen as low value, difficult to mechanize, and unattractive to modern markets. Seed companies invested heavily in hybrids that required fertilizer and irrigation, leaving the old, resilient varieties to fade into obscurity. Cultural perceptions also played a role. Foods associated with poverty or war were quietly discouraged. The plant that once symbolized survival became stigmatized as a poor person's food, despite its proven nutritional and ecological benefits. From a prepper's perspective, this is both fascinating and valuable. Understanding why such a plant was abandoned teaches us how dependent modern societies have become on fragile food systems. If supply chains collapse or climate extremes hit, relying on a narrow range of crops could be catastrophic. By studying wartime cultivation techniques, we gain insight into plants that can thrive under minimal input, resist drought, and provide balanced nutrition. For survivalists, incorporating these lost crops into gardens or community plots is a practical hedge against future disruptions. Applying this knowledge is easier than you might think. Step 1 is identifying the plant in your region. Historical seed catalogues or heirloom gardening networks are an excellent resource. Step 2 is understanding its growth cycles. Most of these World War II survival plants were perennial or fast-growing annuals, able to provide multiple harvests in a single year. Step 3 is experimentation. Plant a small patch and observe how it interacts with your soil, sun exposure, and companion plants. Even in urban settings, container gardening or raised beds can mimic historical cultivation techniques. The goal isn't just nostalgia, it's functional, resilient food production that mirrors what saved entire communities during one of history's darkest periods. There's another lesson here about community resilience. World War II villages didn't grow this plant in isolation. Neighbours exchanged seeds, shared techniques, and coordinated harvests. For modern preppers or homesteaders, this historical model is invaluable. Start by creating a small network. Share seeds, swap cultivation tips, and plan collective storage. By building a knowledge-based community around forgotten survival crops, you're not just growing food, you're recreating a proven system of self-reliance that was literally life-saving in wartime Europe. In conclusion, the story of the plant that fed entire villages during World War II is a stark reminder of both human ingenuity and the fragility of our modern food systems. Forgotten crops can teach us more than just survival. They offer lessons in resilience, nutrition, and community organization. By studying, cultivating, and sharing these plants today, we honor the history of those who survived, while also preparing for a future where food security may no longer be guaranteed. If you found this dive into history and survival fascinating, make sure you subscribe to The Prepper Historian. Share this with fellow history buffs, gardeners, and survival enthusiasts who would appreciate this forgotten knowledge. The past has already prepared the blueprint. Now it's up to us to keep it alive.